Welcome to the channel, everybody, and today we have a special double whammy. As you can see, fire sale. If you haven't been to the channel, what I mean by that is I had the best players in the game in the attack, some of the best defenders in the game, and I totally sold them all with a couple of goals. One, I wanted to prove that it doesn't make any difference, which I will admit it makes a little more difference than I thought. However, there's still a point to prove, which is that skill will prevail. And that is why in today's tactics video, which is a 4-4-2 holding, what I believe to be the best formation in this post-patch number 3, I will also be going through the team as a bonus, the team that I will call the best of the rest. And with this best of the rest team, I want to prove two things. First, I want to prove that your skill as a player will prevail overall. And the second thing I want to prove is that even though these players aren't high rated from the start, as you grind them up, they can absolutely be just as good at it as, if not better than, the best players in the game from the start. So only time will tell. But with that being said, let's get into this 4-4-2 holding formation. The post-patch 3 meta formation I will use to start this era. Now, getting into the tactics, I want to just say, this meta has better passing, right? I noticed that cutbacks are prevalent. So your wingers isolating wingbacks, being able to beat them to the byline, putting in your strikers is definitely big. I did notice that with this crazy height thing in the attack, if you don't know, look at the notes of the new patch, but essentially, taller defenders can prevail in attacking corner kicks and crosses. However, if the defender is taller than you or around your height, most likely every time the defender is going to win the ball. It is a crazy deal, but that's the wording in my games that I played. That is literally how it works. As you can see, the strikers we have, you can't see their height there, but they're both big fellas, and that's the reason why. I went with dribble-heavy wingers, meaning their best attribute is they're great dribblers, and they're only going to get better as I juice them up, right? As they get more attributes and I grind the game. But that is what I went for in the attack now. As you see the higher rated players in the team, that is a simple rule that I had. If I grinded the players up themselves, if I bought them and they weren't the top players in the game already, then I kept them. Udogie and Dumfries were lower rated. Tchouaméni and Camavinga were lower rated. Not as low as the attackers I have now, but they definitely weren't the best players in the game, and the same with my goalkeeper, Bono. So that is how I have the squad lined up. Why I went with the holding instead of the regular, simple as this. I think 2 CDMs is much better than 2 CMs. And Tchouaméni and Camavinga are incredible. Like I said, I built them up. I've used them for a long time, as well as 3 of the 4 backs. I've built Van de Ven all the way up from, I believe it was like 82. And that's why he is rocking the captain's armband for this squad, which I didn't mention yet. But yes, he is our captain. And the only new defender I have is Kisono, right? Because I got Militao after Van Dijk, and both of them, two top center backs in the game, couldn't have it. Went down. I believe Kisono is going to be a cheap beast and an absolute asset as I grind him up. So that's kind of the explanation of the squad. I also want to let you know that I have a pretty good bench, and I will go over that right now. And you see here, Endrick is the star of the bench just because we have that personal skin, and he's looking quite spiffy. You never know, he may take over a starting spot for Samu in particular, maybe even Jackson, but I'm just thinking while I'm boosting up Samu, Endrick may take up the starting spot. We will see. It will be a battle for sure up top, 2 totally different strikers, but the biggest thing is we will see if I can play with 2 big guys up top. However, you got Endrick there, and it is extremely important, by the way, post-patch to have subs, good subs. As you see that I pulled some of my loan players that I had in case my players got hurt. But I'm going to use him now just because the stamina drain is crazy. So hopefully they fix it because it is extremely unrealistic. I can't believe it made it to this, final cut of the post patch, but it did. So for now, you got to have subs available. As you can see, outside of Endrick, we don't have any other cheapies that we bought, but we have 3 marquee subs outside of Endrick, and that is Walker at right back, Rice at CDM, and Chiesa at right wing. Possibly even, we may have even have to use the other 3 that were just from my squad initially, but For now, we will try to make it work with Hendrick and the three marquee lone players. But make sure you have subs, otherwise you're going to have absolutely gas players by literally as soon as halftime. The stamina drain is insane. So you see the squad, and now let's get into how they will line up in this 4-4-2 holding. Player roles, tactics, all of it coming now. So you see here, we start with defensive style balanced, right? Do not do anything other than this because your stamina is already going to be toast. If you do anything other than this, you're literally going to have no energy in like the 5th minute. I'm not even kidding. Keep defensive style balanced, nothing else, right? Depth of defense, we go with 6, which is balanced, but a little on the higher side. I feel like this patch that's a good way to say it. There's good pressure defensively now, but not OP, right? You can attack pretty openly, but not OP. The glitches are still there, right? But not super crazy. So it was a very balanced sort of patch. Very, very even keel type of feel to it where you can compete. The glitchers are still going to be the glitchers, but it's not as crazy one way or the other, or some crazy OP type of play towards, a certain style. Like crosses was the big thing, or finesse shots was a big thing. I feel like they did a pretty good job of evening the game out, which is a good thing. It levels the playing field, so to speak, and it allows players more freedom to play how they want to play. So with that being said, a very balanced overall theme here, and that is exactly what the depth of defense is with 6 bars. Balanced with 6 bars. And moving on, width of defense is at an even 5. So still, balanced. But just this time, 1 less than the depth of defense at 5. It plays perfectly with how we want to utilize this 4-4-2 holding, right? Which is get the ball out wide, drive the line, and if the opponents start to really catch on to that and try to cut off our wingers, who are excellent dribblers, as I said earlier, we will get it into our strikers, whether it's feet or opening them up over the top. Simple as that. Now, attacking style, I went fast attack, and it's quite simple. I want my attacking 4 to make runs ahead, particularly to get the ball either A, to the wingers, so they can drive the line, and then play a ball to the strikers, maybe in some occasions cut it in and get some shots themselves, or I want to try to stretch out the defense with one of my 2 big boys up top, and then if they can't get in all the way into goal, they could cut it back to one of the wingers, and then we could reset and go from there. But that's why I went with fast attack. Players in the box is pretty irrelevant. I chose 6, but the way they kind of made corners in particular and crosses with the defender most likely going to win it. Unless you have big strikers, which we're going to put that to the test. From what I've seen, big strikers still can win the ball in the attack, but it's like a height thing. It's crazy. Look at the notes for the wording. No comment on what I think about that change, but we got to deal with what they give us. So I went with the big boy strikers largely for that reason, so I can still have some presence in the box and crosses without the defense just automatically winning it because they're simply taller. It just sounds crazy even talking about it. Anyway, that's why I went players in the box 6 like I always do, because it pretty much doesn't matter, so why change it? Now the width of attack, I have it an even 5, balanced as well. Simply put, I feel like that's a good enough width for what I'm trying to accomplish. I don't want my wingers inside like I typically have been playing in the UFL. I want them to start out wide, isolate the wingbacks, burn them, serve it to the strikers. But I don't necessarily, we will see how it goes. I don't necessarily want them way out wide. I feel like narrow's too far in, wide seems to be a little too far out. Balance is just fine, especially because I want there to be that question mark. Are they going to cut in for the shot, or are they going to go for the byline and then cross? I don't want the opponent to kind of know with how wide they are that all they're going to be able to do from there is drive in for the cross, okay? You could still drive in for the shot, but it's just further out, right? It's a little less deceptive, so that's why I went with balance. And moving on to player roles, starting with my goalkeeper, Bono, who I've built up quite a bit. He is an excellent goalkeeper, strongly recommend, right? I do think goalkeepers have a little bit of difference here and there. Post-patch, maybe there's a different key skill, which I think for goalkeepers is even more important than attributes. But up to the post patch, the most important skill, in my opinion, was cap play. You know, the cap paw, which helps him with diving, and he has an ultra effect in that. So until I find out differently, Bono is as good as any keeper in the game, and he will only keep getting better as I boost him up. Center back simple, we don't touch them as far as the settings go, but I wanted to point out Van de Ven, the captain now, I boosted him way up from a lower rating, and he is, in my opinion, the best center back in the game. He started out at an 82, I believe, and now being the best center back in the game kind of proves my point on an individual player basis that you can boost these players up into the best players in the game. And we will look to match Van de Ven with our boy Casono, who we just got brand new 79 rated. Watch as we boost them. But again, the settings don't touch for your center back. And moving to the wing backs or fullbacks, as it says, we have Udogie and Dumfries. Same thing as Van de Ven. We boosted them up. They were lower rated. Now they're two of the best wing backs in the game, in my opinion, the best wing backs in the game. Further proof that I will be able to boost up the rest of these lower rated, best of the rest players to monsters. But for the settings, we go attacking with close to the sideline. Attack support is support the attack. Defensive style is hold, position, and pass interceptions, situational. Why do we do this? Because we want our wingbacks providing width in the attack, right? We want them supporting because as of patch number 2, they fixed how the wingbacks positioning was all messed up, and they can provide good recycling options, right? Meaning the attack gets stale, you can recycle it back to your wingbacks. They'll also make some good runs towards the wing, maybe an overlap or an underlap of your wingers, depending on the situation. But they're absolutely helpful to kind of mix up the attack, and then they're brilliant defensively in this setup. Now, two very important players in this very important position. Tchouaméni and Camavinga, you see their settings there. The attack support, don't cross the halfway line. We want them staying defensive. Crosses into the box, nope, hold your position. We don't need you up there. Defensive style, hold your position. And pass interception, situational. Now listen, as players, Tchouaméni and Camavinga are among the best. I got to boost them up, so they've been with me a while, and they're absolute beasts. Tchouaméni has also played some center back for me. Camavinga, more defensive role, but can get the ball, especially through his sick dribbles into the attack. We will look for him to maybe do that sometimes still, but excellent CDMs that can also kind of transfer into that CM area too, because they're pretty good on the ball. Tchouaméni actually got a huge goal for us in one of our first games in the post patch. So shout out Tchouaméni. He doesn't score a lot, but he is a ball winner. Same with Camavinga. Interceptions, tackles, they do it all, and they will be key to stopping the opponent's attack before they can even get to our back four. And moving on to the newbies, our wide mids. First, we start with Savio, the wing mid from Man City. Am I a Man City fan? No, I'm actually a Man United fan since 1992. Shout out to the class of 92. But Savio is an excellent dribbler, and that's what I'm looking for, and I have the ability to boost him up myself. He's not one of what you would call like even a top player, right? He may be considered a cheap beast, right? That's what I consider him. But either way, I will boost him to one of the best, if not the best, right wingers in the game. Stay tuned. Until then, though, here are the settings for my wing mids. The attacking style is attacking runs. The attacking width is balanced. Crosses into the box, of course, make yourself available. Defensive support is balanced, and pass interceptions is aggressive. Now, if you want an explanation for those, here you go. The attacking styles, attacking runs, because I want them, like I said earlier, getting in behind as much as possible, getting the ball into space so they can drive that line, maybe cut in, but really, I want them to drive the line, get the ball into my strikers, or cross it into the strikers. They are big boys and should still be able to win headers based on the patch notes. The attacking width is balanced as well as the defensive support. I don't want them way too wide, and I don't want them way too far up or way too far back. Both of those are balanced because I want them to be able to come to and get the ball if they need to, but be in a position to get the ball in behind, and I don't want them to be all the way out wide. That way they can possibly cut in and look for the shot or drive the line and look for the cross. It's a little more unpredictable, I feel like, in that balanced width. And then balance defensively, again, is just so they can come short if they need to. They're not too far up, but also not too far back. That moment of silence was for the meta attackers that were sold recently. Now, with that being said, before I get into the strikers and their settings, let's talk about Zaccagni on the left wing. I went for a player similar to Savio that was dribble heavy, meaning already has higher dribbling stats that are going to just get better and better as I boost him up and as I boost his other stats. And Zaccagni as well as Savio both had that. I think they both have the ability to be the best dribblers in the game eventually, and I look at them right off the bat to get the ball into my strikers both on the ground and in the air, right? As well as get some goals themselves. Simple as that, but I think they both can be very good players, especially as they get boosted up. So since the settings were the same, I didn't really go over my other side, right? Zaccagni is the new player on the wingbacks who are the same, setting. I talked to you about Udogie, and you know him anyways, right? Zaccagni's a little less used and well known, so I wanted to touch base on him. But getting into the strikers, like I said, two pretty straightforward settings, and then one that's kind of what the heck, and I will explain it though. Attacking styles, attacking runs, defensive support is stay up front. Simply put, these settings are there because I want my strikers to stretch the defense out, and then when I need them to come to, I can call them back manually, right? Then they can either spray the ball to a winger, make a run, and get it then for a cross, or if they're close enough to goal, they can turn, dribble, hit, or turn and hit, because we all know snapshots are OP, and I will be looking to maximize both of their snapshots. That's the first thing I'm going to do, and I strongly suggest if you have strikers without snapshot, you either sell them, get strikers with snapshot, or boost the snapshot when you get skill upgrades as soon as possible, all the way up to high effect, right? The last thing I want to go over that I said might be a head scratcher, the defensive pressure is going to be aggressive interceptions, right? I said that all wrong, but essentially you get what I'm saying, because I want my strikers, as soon as we lose the ball, which hopefully isn't a lot, but as soon as we lose the ball, I want them immediately to apply pressure to the opponent and try to get the ball back. Now, could this drain the stamina that's already bad even worse? Yes. Could it be just nonsense and not even make a difference? Yes, but it is worth a try, because in theory, it's great. It all depends on how the mechanic feels in game, and a lot of players don't try this setting. I want to, because if it does work out how it does in theory, right? It could be excellent. It could be a great way to put pressure on your opponent right away and get the ball back when you otherwise wouldn't. So only time will tell, but you now have the brand new team, what I call best of the rest, right? You also have the settings, the tactics, the player roles, all the above, with the 4-4-2 holding, which I believe is the strongest post-patch 3 formation. Give it a try. Take these settings if you want to use this as a starting point, but make sure you go in probably offline, test it out, see if it matches your playstyle, and then tweak it to exactly how you want it. Both the tactics, right, and the player duties, as they call them in UFL. So, with that being said, get to grinding. It's a new patch. There's also other football games. Whatever floats your boat, just get to grinding. Football video gaming has never been so good. Video gaming has never been so good. Not only grinding, but have fun with it too. You gotta have fun with it. If not, what are you doing with your life? Last but not least, see you next time.